New Brunswick and Ontario are striking up an alliance against the carbon tax. New Brunswick Premier Blaine Higgs says he agrees with Premier Doug Ford that a price on carbon will lead to a recession, despite financial analysis saying otherwise. So why are the provinces turning against the tax, and how does the Premier justify his claim? Let's find out. Joining us now is the Premier of New Brunswick, Blaine Higgs. Premier, great to have you on the program from beautiful Fredericton. Can you tell us what evidence you have that a carbon tax, and I know the government's going to impose one on New Brunswick, will cause a recession?
Well, the concern is where is the tipping point? I mean, we're going to get about $1,200 more tax to individuals in the province, and at this point with our businesses, we're disadvantaged in New Brunswick, unlike any other province. We have a softwood lumber agreement. We're paying 20% duty to companies. So at what point do we go over the edge here? And so one more tax on the people of the province is one more too many. So at some point you have to say there has to be a better way. And we are meeting our emission standards, and we will meet our emission standards. We just don't need a tax to do that.
All right, you know the government says you won't under the old system meet, but they have a, let's just focus on the carbon tax. You met with Prime Minister Trudeau in the past week. They are saying, look, there's a rebate from the federal government. So people in New Brunswick, people in Ontario, the places that are going to be Saskatchewan who are going to get this carbon tax, they are not going to feel the pain. They are going to get a rebate to offset that. What do you say to that?
Yeah, well, I don't agree with that. I understand that they're going to have a rebate in just in time for the election. I asked the question very clearly, what's your total revenue gain versus your total payout? I didn't get an answer. But I have been told by accountants that it's about a 4-to-1 difference. So that's not a full refund. And if it was a full refund, you'd ask, what's the point anyway? Why go through this circle of revenue to Ottawa and back?
Okay, well, there's 2 points. One, they say over 90% of it's going to go back, so they disagree with you on that. And what they do say is there's still an incentive. This is their logic. We'll give a rebate so the average person doesn't feel the pain, but then they can make behavioral changes based on the increased things like the price of gas and other things, and then you could save more money. Change your behavior, get the rebate back, and you can control how much money you save. That is their logic on that. Why don't you buy that?
Yeah, so 90% of what? 90% of the price at the pump? So the point is, it isn't 90% of the total revenue that's coming in from other sources, and primarily through business and industry that's going to be also paying this and putting us in an uncompetitive position with other municipalities, other provinces, and certainly other jurisdictions that we compete with. So my concern is that we are being disadvantaged with our industry. They're talking about 90% rebate on a gas tax only, not on the whole implementation of the carbon tax. So it's kind of a smoke and mirrors game that's being played by the federal government.
All right, well, they say 80% of households are going to get that. But let me just, you say it's going to cause an economic recession. Even the Conference Board of Canada doesn't say that. It's going to have they say a small impact, but just riddle me this because I'm trying to figure this out. British Columbia put in a carbon tax and a carbon price in 2008, one of the fastest growing economies in the country. Quebec's had a price on carbon since 2013. They were growing. Ontario had a price of carbon until 2016. They're growing. California, the United Kingdom, they've had prices of carbon. They're growing. Where can you point me any place that put a price on carbon that actually caused a recession? I frankly don't see it.
So you say Ontario's growing. Look at the financial state in Ontario, and you claim it's growing. If you look at the exceptions that other provinces have had, both the ones that have been given exemptions through the carbon tax process. Quebec has many in their industry. The new LNG plant in BC is an exemption to the process. We don't have those exemptions in New Brunswick. And if you look at industries here, you look at the state they're in environmentally, we're starting from a whole different point of view. I don't have 5 coal plants to close. If our refinery here, and I know that business, was sitting in Saskatchewan or Newfoundland, it would be getting a credit on its performance, not being hit harder on a tax.
All right, what would you like? I know you're an intervener in the court case, Premier. What would you like to see? We're in an election year. If the courts don't rule in your favor, I know you hope they do, but if they don't, what will you do?
Well, look, I've said that I don't believe New Brunswickers should pay any more, and that means in all aspects, not be through a hidden process and fees that come out of commodity pricing in a different way, But my goal is to fight that, working with Saskatchewan, working with Ontario. And if we are successful, there won't be any increase in pricing. I mean, you can look at some of the other provinces, and they've increased pricing on the one hand to reflect the carbon pricing, and then reduced it provincially on the other. So it's it's a smoke and mirror game that's being played here with different provinces. So I'm hitting it straight on. We don't need more tax, and that's the goal.
Last question. Do you think that in the Maritimes in New Brunswick, that if there is a carbon tax, there'll be a political blowback on Justin Trudeau in the coming election?
I do indeed.
You do indeed. All right, I got to leave it there. Premier Higgs, great to have you on the program, sir. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Nice to be here.